What is going on, guys? So you decided to join the Army and you're curious, is there any books I should buy before I actually go to basic training? So I've had this question a few times before, and the honest answer to them is you really don't need a book. Like, you don't need to buy a book before basic training. There's really nothing that's going to prepare you in such a way that if you hadn't done this, if you hadn't gotten this book, and if you hadn't read this book, you know, you would have passed basic training, where otherwise you would have failed. So my reply to them in the comment section was more or less like, you know, yes, there's these books, but also you don't necessarily need them. But for all of you guys who are still curious, like, what should I buy for what we're gonna learn at basic training, this is the video for you guys. So I have two books with me and one book that is not with me, that whenever I was at reception, they handed us this book. Actually, they handed us two of these books. One of them I purchased myself while I was at the PX at reception, or no, it was like the first day of basic training or whatever, whenever they took us to the PX. So the first book I want to talk about is the Blue Book, or the Soldier's Blue Book, and it's really just a guide to, you know, your initial entry into the Army, and just some of the basics, like the bare basics of what you're gonna have to learn, you know, like the Soldier's Creed, the Army Song, and stuff like that. Some really basic stuff is going on in this book. So what happened for us when we were at reception is they kind of forced us, when we were in our downtime, like, take out your blue book and start reading it, take out your blue book and start reading it, take out your blue book and start reading it. You know, we had the Soldier's Creed in there, so we're sitting there trying to memorize the Soldier's Creed and do all that stuff. And then one day they told us to write down the Soldier's Creed, and, you know, you're just looking to the book just to make sure you got all the wording correct, you know, your general orders, you know, basic stuff like that. So it's real basics, and they're gonna give you this book. At least they did whenever I went to basic training. They're gonna give you this book, and it's really not too expensive. But if you really want to be high speed, then you can get it on Amazon. I've got the links to these three books on Amazon in the description, so you guys can check that out. I also have links to a couple other things, you know, in the description, like a waterproof notebook and or Write in the Rain notebook and a waterproof watch. So stepping it up a notch in the technical aspect of books, and that is going to be this Warrior Skills Level 1 book. Basically what this is it's going to go through, you know, basic hand and arm signals. It's going to go through, you know, different like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, moves, stuff like that. It's going to go through some situations with your weapon, and it'll kind of test you, and you'll get really familiar with the basics. So this is a Warrior Skills Level 1 book, so there's going to be really nothing advanced in here. It's not going to be blowing your mind or anything. So you might learn through some pictures and certain things. You're going to learn some land nav if you're rough on land nav. There's some stuff in here for you. If you want to learn a little bit more about weapons and M16s, you know, hand signals, other basic tasks, warrior tasks, you're going to learn them in this book. And this is another book that they gave us at basic training, or at reception. They gave us the Blue Book and this Warrior Skills book. So we didn't really look at this one too much. Basically they just made us look at the Soldier's Blue Book, because it's just like the bare bones basics of the Army. So we looked at that one, and that one had the Soldier's Creed and all that stuff in it. So if you're really serious about wanting to learn as much as you can, maybe you don't know a crap ton about the Army in general, and you're just, you know, you're really nervous and you want to learn a little bit more, and you don't mind investing $10 in a couple of books or whatever, then this might be for you. The next book is a little bit more of the hardcore, or a little bit more for you hardcore guys, you infantry guys, you guys that are wanting to go Ranger, and that is this Ranger Handbook right here. This thing is, it's amazing. I think it's got pretty much everything you're ever going to need as far as on a whole lot of levels in the military. Now, if you're going to go like Special Forces or something like that, then you're going to have to probably learn this book anyways. But, you know, if you're infantry, you're going to learn a whole lot in here. And what you really need to focus on, I think, before you leave for basic training, is the like warrior tasks and battle drills. So you need to figure out what you're going to do with like react to contact, you know, battle drill 1 alpha, and how you're going to maneuver, you know, squad operations, stuff like that. So this Ranger Handbook, it covers all of that. It also covers first aid, you know, tying knots, all this stuff, right? So anything you infantry guys are going to learn is going to be in here. Now on top of that, this is the Ranger Handbook, and if you go to Ranger School, you are going to have to basically memorize this. So you're not going to have to just memorize it all for infantry and all that. You're going to learn a lot in here, but there's a whole lot extra in this book that 90% of you guys watching this are not going to need. Most of you guys are going to learn pretty much everything in this book, at least one point or another. You may not retain all the information, but you're at least going to be taught everything in this book. At some point in your career, you will not be taught everything in this book at some point in your career. So whenever you look through that, when it's teaching you how to like cook food and do all these certain things, even just tying knots, that's something you're not, at least we didn't learn at basic training. There's a lot of stuff in here that's more specifically catered to Rangers, infantry, and that whole aspect of the game. So I'm going to throw in a little bonus book here. It's not really a book, it is the Cadet Handbook. For any of you guys who are looking to go to college, do ROTC, the OCS route, whatever, this Cadet Handbook right here is something that you should probably look into. I think it's only just a couple dollars. If I can find it on Amazon, I'll link it for you guys. But this is basically, the Cadet Handbook is essentially a watered down version of the Ranger Handbook. Everything in here is straight out of the Ranger Handbook, but this is what you're going to need to know to go to the advanced camp that I went to this past month, and it's got a whole lot of infantry tactics in here. So if you actually want to look at this Cadet Handbook, I think that would be something smart to do. I kind of just thought about this whenever I was making this video, but it's not necessarily a book. It's like, just like a little flippy, note. It's more like a notebook than anything else, but it's got a whole lot of good information in here talking about all the battle drills you're gonna be doing. It's got that first aid and all that stuff, land nav, a whole lot of things that you guys would be well off to learn before you go to basic training. But the thing I want to stress about this, guys, is don't get too caught up in understanding all of this before you leave. So there's a lot of things that, for me, looking at now, after I've done it all, I kind of understand what the books are talking about whenever they're talking about certain things, and some of you guys might not. But if you're really wanting to be serious about learning as much as you can before you go to basic training and you get one of these books, just going over it once, skimming through it, looking through different things, learning different hand and arm signals, stuff like that, I think that will help you guys out a lot, because whenever you kind of prep your brain to learn something, so whenever you've just skimmed over and reviewed something just a little bit before you actually learn it from it being told to you or taught to you by an instructor, just having it prepped in your brain helps you to retain the information a little bit better, so you can maybe be like, oh yeah, I understand what it's talking about, I understand what this is meaning, I know how to maneuver, because number one, you've read it, so once you actually go out there to do it, now you kind of have a little bit of an extra background, so you're going to be more solidified in your knowledge on these books. So again, to review, the Soldier's Blue Book, you guys can look that one up, links will be down in the description. The Warrior Skills Level 1 book, they should issue this to you guys. If they don't, then some of you guys who just got back from basic training, make sure you leave a comment. So if this is kind of an outdated video because I went to basic like 2 years ago, let me know, because things change all the time. The next thing is this Ranger Handbook for all of you hardcore guys who are going infantry that have an option for a contract to go Rangers. This thing will be pretty cool for you. You're going to end up getting it eventually, so maybe getting it before basic training isn't that bad of an idea. And then if you want a little bit more of a watered down, condensed version of the Ranger Handbook, that is the Cadet Handbook right here, especially for you guys going to college. If you go to ROTC and they're like, oh, do you have a Cadet Handbook, and you just enrolled, and you're like, yeah, I've already got one and I've looked through it and all that stuff, that might be a good look for you, that you've already taken the initiative. But that's for college, so if, don't think that if a drill sergeant asks you if you know something from the Ranger Handbook that he's going to treat you any differently, because I doubt that's the case. But going to college when this is really what you need to know, like this whole book, having a head start on that might be a good idea. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that thumbs up, like button, that would be awesome. If you want to stick around for some more videos that I will be uploading, usually 3 to 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, either one of those is when you can expect expect a video from me. And leave any comments and questions you have down in the comment section down below. You know, you can send me a message on my Instagram that I have linked, and my Snapchat that I have linked, or you can send me a message on YouTube. So that's it for me. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys later.